Good morning. Today is the 7th of February and I'm afraid my fan in the car is on quite high because I'm trying to clear this windscreen. It's a bit cold today. So it's time for yet another not particularly interesting, very vague and probably quite boring vlog. And it's story time. Before we get into the story, which concerns a car that I'm driving right now, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment below. It all very much helps and allows us to do all the things we enjoy to do on the channel. If you are a channel member on the Seat, Toledo, Mark IV and Rover 45 V6 tiers, then you get to see this video pretty much on the day it's recorded. If you aren't, then you don't. As simple as that. Don't feel under any obligation to have to become a channel member, but you know, if you wish to help out every month, it really helps. So when I was looking to replace actually two different cars that we had in 2020, the 2008 Vauxhall Astra 1.8 twin top that we had, it's not my best purchase, I must admit, and also the Rover 216 SLI automatic from 1991. Mr. Coleman, rubbish mechanic, and I, who very regular viewers on this channel, know exactly who Mr. Coleman is. In fact, a lot of you aren't regular viewers, might even know who he is as well. We sort of pondered things, and he said, "Well, how about a 45 V6? You've actually owned a 45 before, haven't you?" I said, "Well, yes, it wasn't very good. A facelifted 2004 1.4 Club SE in pageant blue, which had a lot of problems. In fact, this 45 V6 I'm sitting in now also has had a lot of problems." But he said, "I think that will do quite well for your channel. They're quite rare. They're a very different thing from the 4-cylinder ones, and I think you'll enjoy it. I'm happy to work on that for you." See, Mr. Coleman has a level of standards to which many people don't apply themselves in terms of the cars that he works on. He'll work on some things begrudgingly, but he really does make his mind known as to the things he prefers to work on. And MG Rover products are actually one of them. City Rover accepted, of course. He's not very fond of those, and neither am I. But he said, I'm happy to work on that for you. And that makes a big difference because Mr. Coleman is a vastly experienced person when it comes to the field of automotive engineering, and also he very kindly gives me a very special rate for his services, which is very good of him. So I found one up in Burton-on-Trent. It didn't sound quite as good. I think it was £800 or something. I mean, you can sometimes pick these cars up for no budget reviews money, even now, if you can actually find one. They're very, very rare cars, these. They are in much, much shorter supply than they were in 2020 when I bought this one. Around then, there were maybe 120, 125 of these taxied on the road. The Sawn figures obviously are much higher than that. But these days, how many do you think? 100? 80? 60? 50? No, it's about 50 to 55. The attrition rate for these is absolutely awful. It's halved in numbers over the last few years. So there's not many around, and when they do come up for sale, even with these, the price is starting to rise a little bit. There's two on sale at the moment that I know of. They're both cars personally known to me, although they aren't with the owners that they were when I knew them. One's at £2,000. It's actually a local car to here. It was bought by one of my channel viewers and then sold on. And then there was another one which was featured on the channel before, several times in fact, and that's up for sale as well. So I do know the market for these cars quite well. This particular car had been on sale at a dealership up in Yorkshire for a long time. Nobody seemed to want it. The price had been reduced down several times, and nobody knows what these cars are. If this was an MG ZS 180, it would be worth considerably more money. very good examples of ZS 180, particularly facelifted ones, which seem to command more money, are sometimes in excess of £5,000. You can still pick one up for nobody reviews money, of course, as James Martin from JMR Cars did recently. But that's beside the point, really. In terms of 45 V6, yeah, you probably could. I mean, there's lots of things going wrong with these cars, but if it's a good one, then they can command up to about £2,500. It's about the ceiling for these. I don't think there really is any more than that. The only other one that sold for more recently was a car that was a 2002 motor show car owned by MG Rover themselves, and it has a few differences between the standard cars and that one itself. So yeah, they're not very expensive, they're very rare, and there are some unique parts on these. So this particular one, been on sale at dealership in Yorkshire for absolutely ages. We think maybe up to 6 months. And we went up there, Mr. Coleman and I, in the summer of 2020, and there were problems. Got there, it was quite a long way. It was, some sort of Blackburn, really, sort of that kind of part of Yorkshire. It's not an area that I'm very familiar with. The garage has this particular way of selling cars that I'm quite familiar with in my career, which is just total and utter disinterest. Absolute and utter disinterest. No sort of hard sell or anything like that. Literally just, like lots of sort of that, not looking you in the eye, not really bothered, just kind of that. And the car's tyres were totally flat. The wiper blades were totally knackered. The battery was totally flat. The battery was so bad that we actually jumped it with, I think, a jump pack that the chap had there. And Mr. Coleman took it for a ride round. The moment we turned it off, absolutely dead again. We did find some service history, that's how I knew the cam belts had been done. And we were going to make them sort of an offer because it was in the right state. I mean, we had to buy a battery immediately. We had to go in Mr. Coleman's car to buy a battery for the car, otherwise it wouldn't go anywhere. Air conditioning didn't work, there was no radio code. Cosmetically it's sort of, roughly the same as it is now. Not any paint done on this car or anything. It's not great. I mean, there's scratches all over it. Some of the paint is cracking. The bonnet is quite bad. It's covered in stone chips and scratches and all that sort of stuff. But because we've used this car for some time on a daily basis, I don't really care. The wheels are a bit scuffed. Again, I don't really care. If this was a car that we were going to put in a garage and just take out the shows only, I would maybe care a bit more, but I kind of don't, because my lady wife drives this, I drive this. It's been used on a daily basis almost continually for 2.5 years, over 2.5 years now, and I don't care about that kind of stuff because it's in daily use. It's not really a show car. It goes to shows and things, but it's not really a show car. So we tried to do a deal with him, but he just wasn't really interested in doing anything. And then to this day, we still don't know whether he fabricated a phone call from somebody in the West Midlands who said they'd come and buy it and take it away for the asking price. We don't know if that was the case, but obviously we have to give them the benefit of the doubt, and so we just got some money out and in cash gave it to them. It had an MOT, and so we just went to Halfords, bought a new battery and some wiper blades, just made sure the washer fluid worked and things like that, checked the fluids, and off we went. I drove it back with Mr. Coleman through the pouring rain, him in his Alpha 166 and me in this, and driving down the M6 we came across a Honda Legend, and it was really funny. We were driving down the road in these not particularly valuable old luxury cars, thinking like we're absolutely mad driving these. What are we doing driving these cars? They're not very good on fuel. They're not very reliable. Residual values are terrible. Why are we driving these cars? And it just sort of dawned on me. It's like, this is a way into something that not many people get to experience, really, because they're too afraid of buying a car like that. They're afraid of the problems that are going to have, and the terrible fuel consumption, and that sort of thing. And actually, although this car's had a lot of problems, and they do have a lot of problems, I don't care what people tell me, because I've had this car it's getting on for 3 years now, and I know all the problems I've had. I know what other problems people who have these cars have had. But the thing is, I've spent a lot of money on this car, doing things like the thermostat housing twice, the air conditioning, all the tyres, the welding on the sills at the bottom, undersealing, servicing every 6 months, and there's probably many things. I've got a new radio and all that sort of stuff. And the worst thing of all, in a way, was the cam position sensor failing and not being able to use the car for a number of months. It was about 2.5 months actually. I still really like this car. I'm very blessed to have one of these and to be holding on to it. I think this is one of the only ones in this country that's still in daily use. I think the others are either show cars or they keep breaking and so keep taking off the road. But at the moment, it's still in daily use. Because the Volvo has failed and been sold, I'm still driving this. I should be driving my Mercedes more often, but I keep driving this because I like it. And that's it. This workshop is not very good. As I said, it's not very reliable. It's not necessarily very cheap to service. When you've got to do those cam belts, and they'll have to do in 2024, they will cost at least £500 to do them. In some places, that would be a lot more. Fortunately, Mr. Coleman's uncle is very experienced in doing things like that. He used to do KV6 engine cam belts a lot. Rather, 3 of them, of course, so it makes it even more expensive. But yeah, he'll probably be doing them if we still own the car by then. The reason I say that is because this car is now approaching 83,000 miles, and if I don't stop using it on such a frequent basis, the mileage is going to be quite high on it. I know it sounds like a really bad sort of excuse, but given the problems we've had with this, we really should start sharing out the miles between another car, which is one of the reasons I bought the Volvo. Eventually we do want to put this in a garage. It's not in the garage. We've never had a garage for this car. But it's not really fair on it for it to just sort of live outside all the time. It has been undersealed and everything, and the welding was done last year to make it suitable and everything like that, but it needs to go probably into a garage. It needs to have kind of money spent on it to improve the cosmetics of it, get rid of these saggy door cards and broken clock, and the headlining, which could be better, and just all these sort of things. It does need that to happen, but it's just not happening at the moment. There are various reasons for that, but it was a very bizarre story about getting it. At one point we drove through this enormous rainstorm on the M6, and of course I was on these really dodgy tyres, really dodgy tyres. I think only like one of them was probably legal at the time or something. There's not much we could do about that. We had to get it back, and obviously the tyres were changed within a week of getting it, but it was very exciting. It was a massive kind of big, powerful thunderstorm, and I made it back, and after that I was sort of a bit shaking and everything, but we made it back, and Mr. Coleman had a takeaway and kind of reflected on the experience of sort of picking this car up. As you know, it's been a dramatic time, but I still got it, and providing we decide to do those cam belts, have it for some time to come. So anyway, that was story time. Thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment below, and we shall see you soon for more incredibly vague musing. Lloyd Vehicle Consulting stickers, t-shirts and mugs are available by clicking the link to the Google form in the video description below.